Britain's former Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher has died at the age of 87 after suffering a stroke in London. Prime Minister David Cameron described her as the greatest peacetime leader. The Queen has expressed sadness over her death. Baroness Thatcher was the country's first and only woman to hold the office. She was Prime Minister from 1979 to 1990. CCTV's Richard Bestic is in London and joins us now with more. Richard?
And Margaret Thatcher was a leader who divided opinion at home and overseas, but whether loved or loathed, she was never ignored. Over the Houses of Parliament behind me, currently clothed in darkness, a building she dominated for so many years, the Union Jack is flying at half-mast in a rare tribute to a remarkable politician. The House of Commons is being recalled for a tribute debate. Her political legacy undeniable, and as the tributes pour in, her memory writ large.
Where there is discord, may we bring harmony.
As she entered Downing Street for the first time in 1979, Margaret Thatcher quoted St. Francis of Assisi. But her early years in office brought little of the hope she'd prayed for. Unemployment rose to record levels as high interest rates hit Britain's manufacturing base. Always resolute, she rejected calls for a policy U-turn.
The ladies not for turning.
That resolve was tested when Argentina invaded the Falklands British Protectorate. In Argentina, Las Malvinas. Against apparent military logic, she sent a 25,000-strong task force 8,000 miles south and had the occupying Argentine troops ejected. She survived an attack by the terrorist IRA, which destroyed the hotel in which she was staying and which killed and injured colleagues. When she turned her attentions to the miners' union, those she described as the enemy within, conflict was bitter, while her battles with Europe and Brussels were legendary. She felt more at home with the US and President Ronald Reagan, two leaders with the strongest of bonds and the greatest antipathy to the Soviet Union. Although ever the pragmatist, she described Mikhail Gorbachev, the last leader of the Soviet Union, as a man with whom she could do business. It was pragmatism, too, that saw her negotiate an end to Britain's control over Hong Kong and with Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping herald a peaceful handover. Her third election victory, making her the longest-serving British Prime Minister of the 20th century, saw her powers decline. Her ideas for a poll tax caused the worst riots ever seen on Britain's streets. The resolve that had served her so well in her early years were being seen as intransigent. She lost the support of government colleagues and departed Downing Street having never lost an election.
Margaret Thatcher didn't just lead our country, she saved our country. And we should never forget that the odds were stacked against her. She was the shopkeeper's daughter from Grantham who made it all the way to the highest office in the land. There were people who said she couldn't make it, who stood in her way, who said that a woman couldn't lead, and she defied them all.
Well, Anand, if becoming Britain's first and so far only woman Prime Minister was all she'd done, Margaret Thatcher would have still gone down in the history books. That she did so much probably means that history will always have a special place for her.
So, Richard, what's been the reaction like to her death, both in Britain and from around the world?
Well, mixed. The tributes have been coming in from home and around the world. You heard the UK Prime Minister David Cameron there say she was the patriot Prime Minister and she fought for Britain's interests every single step of the way. Overseas, President Obama has said the world had lost one of the great champions of freedom and liberty. As a grocer's daughter, he said she stands as an example to our daughters that there is no glass ceiling that can't be shattered. Of course, there are those not lamenting her passing, both local and international as well. At a local level, there are communities here in Britain where memories of her time in office are still raw. And as you'll hear quite soon from Daniel in Buenos Aires, from parts of South America too. In life and death, Margaret Thatcher has had the ability to command the greatest love and loyalty, and at the other end of the spectrum, deep dislike.
Thanks, Richard. Richard Bestic there in London.